Right, it's time for the return of our always popular Dream Surgery on BBC Radio Scotland. It's a time of year when people are settling back into familiar work patterns after the festive break, maybe also thinking about career changes or just doing that thing they've always wanted to do, work-related, in 2020. Work-related dreams really pop up a lot at this time of year. So if you're having dreams about work, get in touch, 08085 92 95 00. The man in charge of our Dream Workshop, psychologist, dream expert Ian Wallace. Ian, good to have you back.
Hey Stephen, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've got a couple of troublesome dreams I need to bother you with, but we'll do that later.
Okay.
Because I want to talk work dreams right now. How common are work-related dreams?
They're very common, Stephen, and the reason for that is we tend to take dreams quite literally. So when we have dreams about work, we think it's about the actual work situation. But dreams don't really work in that literal manner. They work in an imaginal manner, and they use symbols, and they use those symbols to represent what our feelings mean. So when we have dreams about work, what we're really reflecting on is where we find meaning in waking life and where we find purpose. And the usual place we find that naturally is in the work that we do. But if we're having dreams about work, it often means that we are maybe feeling that our work is not as meaningful or as purposeful as it could be.
And it's a big part of our lives. I mean, you think about 24 hours in a day, a third of it we spend sleeping, a third of it we spend at work.
A third of it's spent at work, and a 12th of it is spent dreaming.
What's the common themes that surround work dreams? What are they?
So the common themes, the most common one is quite an entertaining one, as most dreams are, and it's some form of inappropriate intimacy, as a polite way to put it, with a work colleague or with your boss. And as we know, Stephen, dreams don't happen to us. We happen to our dreams and we create everything in them. So when you dream of a colleague or your boss in a dream, you're actually considering some personal characteristics they have and what they mean to you. So
I'm looking at my boss, Leslie, through the glasses. She's avoiding eye contact with me studiously through this. What do you mean? Tell us more.
So in that, let's imagine that you have a dream of an inappropriate intimacy. Then that's nothing to do with sex or making love or anything like that. It's about becoming more intimately aware of some quality that you have. And it's usually some creative quality, some problem-solving quality. So if you dream that you're getting very close to a work colleague, then you're becoming more intimately aware that they have a quality that you have the opportunity to develop yourself. So they might be really confident or really skilled at something, and you realise that you've got the opportunity to do that as well.
I've got a recurring dream in this place that which I usually do. This is too much information, but I usually go to the loo during the 11 o'clock news here, and I get locked in and I can't get out. And I can hear the newsreaders wait into sport. There's like a minute left. I can't get out. The door won't open.
That's a fantastic dream. So it's a combination of the third most common dream, which is being stuck in a toilet, and the 18th most common dream, which is a presenter having performance difficulties, public performance difficulties.
Oh, tell me about it.
So in that, there's a couple of things going on there, Stephen. One is, when you dream about a toilet, we have this phrase, needing the toilet. So dreaming about a toilet is being able to attend to your own needs and not having to present a pleasing face to the public all the time. Sometimes you just want to be Stephen and have that private life and have some Stephen time. And the other part is worrying about not performing well enough as a broadcaster, which is nonsense because you're a brilliant broadcaster. But that dream is about you being a perfectionist and not giving yourself enough me time because you're always criticising yourself and wanting to just do the job better and better and better.
Do you know what? I'll tell you a secret. I don't always lock the door when I go now.
Oh, scary.
Just in case. So being late, that's another one as well. Getting fired. And the old chestnut as well, because I've read about this one with other people. Naked at work. What is going on with that?
So naked in public, and it's usually in the workplace, is the fourth most common dream. So again, just working with symbols and images, when we dream of being naked, when we're actually considering some situation in waking life where we're feeling a bit exposed, feeling a bit vulnerable. And the action from that dream is, rather than trying to cover up your talents, just open up to other people and show them what you can do, take a bit of a chance, and be proud of the fact that you are maybe a wee bit vulnerable, but you're happy to go with that, and that will draw people towards you and they will support you and look after you.
Interesting. That's a common dream, that one, isn't it?
It's the fourth most common dream, yes.
Right, so we're here to help with this morning. Ian, any work-related dreams, it may be a nightmare, it may be... Remind us again, we've talked about this, the difference between a dream and a nightmare.
So there's no real difference. People tend to segregate them, but a nightmare is just a dream where you turn up the volume a bit, you turn up the colour a bit, and you make it a bit more scary because you're trying to get your own attention and tell yourself something important about your waking life.
Okay, so if you've got a recurring dream that is really bothering you and is work-related, a survey in America suggests 64% of people have had nightmares about work.
Yeah, at least that, I would
As
imagine.
high as that. So maybe it is about being naked at work. Maybe it is about things going wrong at work. It's being late for work. Anything related to any of this stuff. Ian's here. The next hour of the programme is when we're going to do dream surgery. So it's 08085 92 95 00, 80295 to get your questions in. We like them. The more weird and wonderful, the better, we say on dream surgery, don't we?
Absolutely. The more entertaining, the scarier, the more vivid, the better.
This guy's written a big book about dreams and he's collecting material for the next one, thanks to this programme. So
That's it.
Let's see if we can stump him this morning with your dream questions. It's time now to welcome back our psychologist, resident dream expert, Ian Wallace, for our dream surgery. Hi, Ian.
Hey, Stephen, how are you doing now?
They are coming in thick and fast. January, you notice I didn't go to the loo during the news at 11 there. I was so perturbed by what you told me. January, often a time when we think about maybe job changes, things aren't working out at work. So work-related dreams come to the fore at this time as well. It's in our consciousness. Ian is on hand to deal with them this morning. So if you've any dreams about problems at work, about situations at work, about people at work, 08085 92 95 00 or 80295 if you want to text us this morning. Right, let's jump into these now. Bob in Peebles is first this morning. Ian, he says, what does it mean when you're travelling and you can't get to your destination in a dream? What's going on there?
When we dream that we're travelling, it's about how we're progressing through life. And quite often it can be a work-related dream. It can be some professional ambition that we might have. So Bob might have this. And when we're trying to get to the destination, there's some favourable outcome that we're looking for. But we always, when we're trying to do that, we have to understand the prevailing conditions, what the climate is that we're marching through. So it could be that you feel that you're going against a current or a strong wind, something's pushing you back. And it's very easy to just think, I'll just wait for the right conditions. I'll wait for things to happen. I'll wait until I feel happy and comfortable to step into this. But the reality is, if you're trying to get somewhere, you just have to take that first step and start marching and get on with it. So the action from this dream, from Bob's dream, is just to think, what's the first step that you need to take to get to the outcome that you want, and have the courage and the confidence to take that first step and start moving.
Can dreams predict the future, Ian? There was a story this week in the papers about Daisy from Gloucestershire. She didn't realise quitting the job she was so unhappy with was an option until she had what she said was an intensely realistic dream of walking down a beach in Southeast Asia. She knew it was something she had to do. She'd never been there before, but she kind of knew roughly where it was, the place was, and felt she had overwhelmingly had to do that for her own happiness. She did it. She quit her job and went and did it and had the most amazing time. Can a dream kind of predict what you need to do in life?
It can, and all the time, every time we create a dream, we're sending ourselves a message. And very often we disregard those messages, and that's why the dreams keep coming back and recurring. In Daisy's dream, we have that. When we work, we often are not really allowed or feel permitted to show our emotions. And because dreams are the main way that we process emotions, that can build up, and we don't realise that we have alternatives. So what Daisy did in her dream, in series of dreams, was just to explore those alternatives and think about possible futures rather than predicting the future. And although quitting her job and moving away might have seemed quite foreign to her, then she did that, and then she started to reap the benefits from doing that.
We are analysing your work-related dreams this morning. Get them into us, 80295 or 08085 92 95 00. So maybe it is being late for work. Maybe it is being locked out of work. Maybe it is inappropriate dreams about a person at work. Come on, confess all. The confessional is open, 80295 or 08085 92 95 00. Andrew is calling us from the Borders this morning. Morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Hello, how are you doing?
Good.
Hello.
Thanks for your time this morning. What is your work-related dream, Andrew?
Well, I'm an artist. In fact, I'm actually painting right now. I put my brush down, so I'm concentrating.
Health and safety.
Yes, exactly. That's right. I've got a show coming up in London later in the year, and I had this interesting dream last week where I went with my daughter, who's 10, to see the gallery owner. She's like a friend. But our house was nothing like it is in real life. It was a really old kind of wooden house, which felt kind of precarious, and it was right on the edge of a fairly muddy sort of embankment down to a raging river down below, which actually forked at the house. And underneath the house, I think we're upstairs in our house to begin with, and went downstairs to this kind of restaurant, which was quite kind of cosy underneath. We sat down at a table, and we were served these large black kind of insect-like creatures to eat. I don't have any memory of actually eating them. Then we were moved to the booth by the window, which was really overlooking the river. In fact, it was right next to the river, and the river was pretty wild. And this booth sort of broke away with all four of us in it, the gallery owner, her partner, myself and my daughter. And it started going down the river, and it started to get it was a bit like a boat to begin with, but then it tipped over. We're all thrown into the river. My daughter went straight underneath like a stone. And so I dived down to sort of try and find her. The water was really murky. And I did actually find her, pulled her out, and managed to save her, I think. And that's kind of all I remember. The water was quite warm. Like, whenever I dream about water, it's always quite warm. It's probably because I'm in my bed and it is actually physically warm. I never get that kind of cold water thing. Obviously, a river like that would be freezing in real life. But so I just wondered obviously it's an anxiety dream of some kind. But
you must have been exhausted when you woke up.
Yeah, I was. I dream quite a lot. And they're not always anxiety dreams, I have to say. But I would say that one probably was, and involving, being a dad and responsible for someone else's life, and being an artist. Obviously, your income sometimes is really good. Other times, you don't have this sense of steady income as an artist. So maybe it's related to that.
Let's put it to Ian. What a dream, Ian. What do you think?
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, that's an amazing dream. Do you use your dream imagery in your art, Andrew?
Well, not directly, no. But I think there's a real link between, the visual imagination and what you conjure up in your sleep. And I'm not saying that artists have any more of a wild imaginative dream life than anyone else. I just think it's common to humans. It's really fascinating, the way that your subconscious, and obviously as an artist, I do in some way. I don't. My work isn't surreal in any way. So, there is that history in art, going back to Freud and all that, of looking at dream imagery and using that in artwork. Like, I suppose Dali's the most obvious example of that. And that's kind of fascinating how that transformed art history. So there is definitely a link between art and dreams. Yeah.
So in your dream, Andrew, you suggest it's an anxiety dream, but as a dream psychologist, I often say there's no such thing as an anxiety dream. And what I'm hearing is something really, really powerful here, Andrew. So anytime we dream about water, Andrew, we're dreaming about our feelings and emotions. So we have all these idioms like pouring my heart out at a low ebb, floods of tears. So anything around water imagery is all about our emotions and feelings and how we channel them. And when you dream about a child, it's a very common dream to dream about a child in jeopardy, Andrew. And it's nothing to do with your daughter. When you dream about a child, it's about some project that you have, something that's very close to your heart, something that's a labour of love that you are developing. So it's probably something in the work that you've been doing over the past 10 years or around that time scale, and you're reflecting on it, and you're trying to keep it together and look after it. When you dream about a house, you're dreaming about your own identity. And when you dream about a wooden house, it's usually an identity or a characteristic that you have that is maybe a little bit old-fashioned for you now, that you feel that you need to move on from it. And that identity that you used to have, it's maybe from 10 years ago, feels a bit precarious. So when you go for a meal, anytime you go for a meal, you're looking at how to fulfill your needs and usually how to demonstrate your value and have that satisfied. So you sit down for that. And the meal that you're having, these black insects, they might not be particularly appetizing, but they are quite nutritious. They're a way of feeding you. And then when the booth collapses, that's you letting go of a past identity that you don't need, because you've got this powerful rush of feelings that's going to transport you somewhere else. But as you do that, you're reflecting on something that you did maybe 10 years ago that's a labour of love that you want to save and you want to bring back to life and make sure everything's okay. So this whole dream, Andrew, is about you using really, really deep, powerful feelings and emotions to let go of some aspect of your character from the past that you no longer need, that will allow you to drive through into the future and really let your artistic talents flow.
Wow, how does that sound?
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, that's totally fascinating. It's not how I would have interpreted that in the slightest, but I mean, that's which is interesting. I mean, I know that that you studied dreams for your whole career, and that there are these archetypes, and that I mean, one question I might have would be that do these things always mean those things, or can people's dreams be quite individual, or are dreams kind of delving into this deep archetypal kind of underlying thing that's common to everyone? Because
so there's two things going on there, Andrew. So one is that the dreams are individual. We all create our own dreams, but we do it around cultural imagery. So we have things like a mountain. We have things like it's an uphill struggle or a mountain to climb. So a mountain tends to mean the same general thing, and then people will put specifics on it. So it's like when you're creating work, you'll have maybe like a general wash of something or general patches of colour, but then you'll start to put edges around them. And those general parts are the fundamental symbols that people use, and then we put in the edging detail from our own life experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Andrew,
actually, that would apply to art as well. I mean, when you use certain imagery in your work, then you are using it symbolically to.
That's a good point. I mean, do artists dream differently? People who are artistic like Andrew, will they dream differently from the rest of us? Do they have a different kind of visual approach to life that lends itself to them dreaming more or differently, Ian? What do you think?
I've worked with a lot of artist dreams, and they tend to be closer to their dreams because they are engaging with their unconscious in their own story. But it depends what they're doing. And it's not just visual arts. It can also be things like sculpture or installations or site-specific stuff. But artists tend to be far closer to their unconscious, and they express it through the medium of what they do.
Andrew, thank you so much for your time this morning.
You're welcome.
And
really interesting.
Fascinating dream. No, thank you. Let's crack through more of these work-related dreams. Brian says, my dreams usually go along the lines of me leaving the house to get somewhere. I either get on the wrong bus, the bus breaks down, or I just get lost trying to find my way to where I'm going. I never seem to get there. Brian's never-ending journey. What's going on?
So this is a bit like Bob's dream, that idea of you're trying to get somewhere, but you can never quite make it. So again, Brian, like Bob, has some ambition, some outcome that he's trying to get to. When we dream of transport, we're thinking about what vehicle will we use to get to where we want to go? What is the vehicle for our ambitions? If it's a car, we're thinking about our personal drive and ambition. If it's a bus, it's about going someplace with a group of people. So when Brian's thinking about that, if he's on the wrong bus, he maybe feels that he's in the wrong team or the group of people, or there's some breakdown in the team that he's working with. So the action from this dream for Brian is to really carefully consider where he wants to get to. Is he working with the right group of people? Can they help him get to where his ambitions are going, and how can he get there and get that journey done?
Fingers crossed, Brian. Here's Lorna in South Queensferry. She says, I have a recurring dream. I'm in a hotel. I need to pack to catch my flight. All my clothes and things are strewn all over the place. Every time I think I've finished packing, I find another huge pile of things to pack. All the time, stressing about checking out time, getting to catch my flight. What's going on?
In Lorna's dream, anytime we dream about catching a flight, it's not usually about catching a flight in real life. And it's probably that Lorna spends a lot of time catching flights. She might travel a lot. But what a flight symbolises is some project or idea. Anytime we dream about the sky, we're dreaming about ideas and thoughts. So we have the things like blue sky thinking, shooting a breeze, all that stuff. It's all to do with ideas. And an aeroplane is a vehicle of the air. So Lorna's thinking about how to get some project off the ground and then how to land it safely. And because she's trying to get everything packed up, she's trying to get everything organised and everything tidied away before she takes the step to make this project happen. And she's spending too much time preparing to do this thing rather than actually committing to it and stepping into it. So the action from this dream is, don't worry if you leave a few seat behind. As long as you've got a change of underwear and your toothbrush, you're absolutely fine.
And your passport, you'll be
Yes.
all right. You'll be all right. Rachel in Argyle, my dream is about toilets. They're extremely dirty, the toilets, the bathrooms. They're also exposed. The doors won't lock. I'm always disgusted by the state of them, but I need to use them. It's always a public toilet. What's the significance of this? I've often wondered.
So this is the third most common dream. So this is like a bit like your dream, Stephen, apart from the fact that the doors don't lock in Rachel's dream. So when we dream about toilets, we are dreaming about why we are spending lots of our time fulfilling the needs of other people rather than fulfilling our own needs. And one of the reasons we do that is that we can often feel guilty or ashamed in waking life if we draw people's attention to our needs rather than looking after the needs of other people. And the fact that the doors are not locking suggests that Rachel is maybe finding it a wee bit challenging to set boundaries around her needs. And the easiest way to do that in waking life is just to use the word no. When someone asks you to do something that you don't really want to do, just say no, or that's not going to work for me. And because it's a public toilet, the challenge there is that just publicly stating that you need something can always make you feel a bit vulnerable and a little bit ashamed and just that little bit unclean and a bit grubby.
Since the last time you were in, I've had the same dream twice, and I've never had it before. The first time, I had a snake wrapped around my foot, and I woke up with my leg out the bed trying to shake the snake off.
Right.
The second time, this week, there was a cat on my hand biting my fingers, and I was trying to shake the cat off, and I woke up with my hand shaking my hand, really physically. What's going on?
When we dream about a snake, it's a brilliant dream to have, although it can be quite scary to dream about snakes. Snakes are a symbol of transformation and healing. So when you dream that you've got a snake wrapped around your foot, there's some healthy step that you're going to take in waking life. So we have snake symbolism around the symbol for a doctor, and also so the Asclepian staff, and also the bowl of Hygeia, the symbol for a pharmacist. So some healthy step that you're taking in your waking life. And when you dream about a cat biting your hand, there's a couple of things that can happen there. A cat symbolises independence and being really comfortable in your own freedom. So there's some action you're going to take. Your hand symbolises an action to take. The other thing that's quite common, if you have rolled over onto your arm or hand and you've cut off circulation to it and you get pins and needles in it, it can sometimes create a dream where you feel something's biting your hand and you use that sensation to then symbolise that need for independent and free action.
Gosh, how fascinating, which this dream surgery always is, Ian. And as ever, we're out of time without having to managing to get through all the questions. You need to come back.
I'd be delighted to come back.
That has been a good one, though. Work-related dreams. Ian Wallace, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you again, Stephen.
Thank you. Have a good dreamy weekend.